Coming up on this episode of DL Weekly, Halloween creeps in and the winter holidays are announced, issues with pipes around the resort,
mobile order changes, a goofy way to celebrate Halloween. We talk with Alex about the Walt Disney Family Museum and more. DL Weekly starts now.
Well, hello there. Welcome to our unbirthday party. For your safety, please be sure to stay listening with your hands, arms, feet, and ears inside the podcast. And please, do give Tag and Teresa easier trivia questions. Well, it seems DL Weekly is about to begin. Have a most wonderful time. Perhaps tea time.
Hello and welcome to this episode of DL Weekly for the week of August 9th, 2023. I'm Teresa Urban.
And I'm producer Vern.
As some of you may have noticed, Vern is filling in tonight, which is awesome. Thank you so much, Vern, for taking some time out of Trivia Land to come hang out with us while we do news and other fun things. But sadly, Tag has had some travel delays. He was supposed to be back and able to record for this week's episode, but travel delays happened. He is on his way home. I think his plane's touching down like in the next 10 minutes as we record this. So he's almost home. Yay.
Yay.
So Tag will be back next week. I feel like I need to knock on all of the everything wood and cross my fingers, all that stuff. 'Cause I don't want to, I feel like maybe we jinxed him since last week we were announcing that he'd be back for this week, so.
True, it is kind of your fault.
No. So anyway, so we are hoping for a safe return for Tag. Tag and James should be back with us next week.
Hopefully. Well, thank you to Like and See for becoming an official weekly tier on our Patreon. Our supporters get some pretty fun perks like DO Weekly swag, bonus content, and access to our Discord community. A special thank you to Shannon W., Eric C., and Alex M. for your continued support. If you would like some more Disney magic in your day, head on over to dlweekly.net/support to join the community.
Well, it's that time again for our friend Eric over at Concierge to catch us up on other Disney news.
Hello, everyone. This is Eric Johnson with Concierge, and welcome to the D180. While Teg and Teresa cover all things Disneyland, Teg's not back yet. Okay. While Teresa and Lynn cover all things Disneyland, in the D180, we take a spin around the rest of the Disney universe, and we do it in 180 seconds. Let's jump right in. We start our journey in Walt Disney World, where fan favorite fooderies have just returned. No, not the Food and Wine Festival. That's later. I mean, it's open too now, but just hang on. Later in the thing that I'm doing, that thing. Yeah. What I'm talking about now is the Trails End and Crockett's Tavern restaurants at the Fort Wilderness Resort and Campgrounds. These two beloved locations are back on the menu with updated decor and menus. Rustic beams, wooden furniture with Western upholstery, and plenty of wagon wheels and lanterns and other Western-y stuff fill the room. Let's talk food, though. Crockett's Tavern has always been a great place to hang out near Bay Lake. Disney opened up more indoor space to make this spot a full-fledged lounge with a menu of tasty and shareable dishes. Try some sliders, boneless wings, cauliflower bites, and cheese plates with your friends, or maybe just for yourself. The bar still has a window out onto the porch if you feel like enjoying a few drinks in the evening breeze. Visitors used to make the trek to Fort Wilderness for the excellent buffet at Trails End. The new version of this restaurant focuses on quick service with excellent choices. A pizza station lets your family watch your pie head through the oven. Buy it by the slice or take it out whole. Get some to-go barbecue with an a la carte meal and sides. The restaurant will have plenty of home-style options like brisket, ribs, and chicken. But stick around for dessert. Trails End was always known for its options like pioneer berry salad, banana pudding, carrot cake cupcakes, and blueberry bread pudding. Now you can pick up all of those options plus some of the Hoop-Dee-Doo Review's legendary strawberry shortcake. There are tons more surprises to come at these two establishments, so make sure you take a boat on over to Fort Wilderness on your next trip. Fort Wilderness is a great place to stay if you want to actually camp in a tent at Walt Disney World. Holy cow! You can also stay in your RV cheaply or rent out one of the many cabins on property. It's one of those hidden gems that's just a quick boat ride away from the Magic Kingdom. And that's 180 seconds. I hope you enjoyed our quick spin around the rest of the Disney universe. If you would like to learn more about these Disney adventures or just have a few questions, please come on over. Visit the social media and websites of both DL Weekly and us, their official travel planners, Conzi Ears. We look forward to planning something special for you and yours. I am Eric Johnson, and this has been your D180.
Thanks, Eric. Now let's get to the news.
Halloween season is less than a month away, and the new merch has been spotted all over the resort. This year's design features a more edgy vibe with colors that really pop. For example, the Mickey Pumpkin design is done with teal, black, pink, and yellow. There's also new Hocus Pocus merchandise to help you celebrate spooky season. So what are your thoughts with the new design and some of the new pieces?
Well, I always love the classic stuff. So you've got like your Mickey, Mickey pumpkin ears. So you gotta love a classic. I am enjoying the color schemes with the new stuff, bringing in the teals and the pinks. I like vibrant colors; those kind of speak to me. And I was looking at the new ears with the mini with the bat, and those are neat. I like that look.
So the ears for the new Halloween design are very interesting. So it's the ears themselves look fuzzy, and instead of a bow, you have this kind of like faux leather mini bat cutout, and it looks like she's got her hands up, like she's like gonna come like down and get you. She's kind of spooky looking. She's not cute and like innocent and like just adorable Minnie. So she's kind of she's a little more sinister than normal. So she's getting into the holiday spirit.
It still kind of looks playful to me. I mean,
it's Minnie, so she's not. Yeah, she's not. There are definitely far more terrifying things out there for sure. Mm-hmm. What do you think of this new baseball cap for the Mickey Pumpkin?
Oh, I always love the baseball cap ears.
So this new baseball cap is black. It has that new kind of bright, edgy design. I keep saying the word edgy because last year everything was it was just really cute because it was more playful. It was like these adorable little ghost designs, and like Donald's costume was like a pumpkin. I mean, it was just it was cute. Whereas this is a little more, it's not scary. That's why I keep using the term edgy. It's not like frightening.
Right.
But it's more bright, it's more vibrant. Mm-hmm. But yeah, I think this is a really fun ear hat. So it's a black baseball cap, like I said, that new Mickey Mouse design with the as a pumpkin. It's just fun. I wasn't sure, I'll be honest, when I first saw these colors, I wasn't sure. I wasn't quite sure because the first thing I saw was actually the lounge fly that came out, and it seemed a little, I don't know, I didn't get it. I like it. It's growing on me, and I like it better as how they have it done on other things. The spirit jersey is also really fun. Again, when I first saw it, it wasn't like, ooh, but it's growing on me. I like it. Mm-hmm. The one thing I want to talk about, too, is the new Hocus Pocus line. So there are Hocus Pocus ears, which is very, very exciting. But then there's all of this stuff. This was really interesting to me. Most of the designs, maybe not all of the designs, but most of the designs are from Hocus Pocus 2. So it's not just the Sanderson sisters.
Oh, sure.
It's also the young witches that we met in Hocus Pocus 2. And so they've kind of brought those characters forward as far as merch goes. So I thought that was really fun. There is this really ridiculous water bottle, which is of Billy Butcherson. And let me get down to it so you can see. Vern, you have not seen this yet. So I would love to see and hear your reaction to this ridiculous water bottle.
Oh, that is great.
So this water bottle design allows you to decapitate Billy Butcherson over and over again. Billy Butcherson's head is the cap for this water bottle, and it's it's so ridiculous.
Yep.
It
is wonderful in its ridiculousness. Like, I personally don't need to own one. Because the wild hair sticking out, I can see myself just breaking that off.
It looks more like a display piece to me than an actual like functional water bottle. But yeah,
it's cool looking though. I mean, I would give it as a gift. I don't need to have it as a gift, but it's cool looking.
Someone in the merch department had a whole lot of fun with that.
Yes.
I do want to mention too, there had been a lot of Haunted Mansion merch that was released a couple of weeks back. That is still out. There's merch that's specific more to the attraction, but there's also looks like there's some more merch that ties in more with the movie version of the story. So there's some hats and t-shirts and all sorts of fun stuff. So plenty of spooky attire.
Oh, is that a button front?
And spooky accessories to help you celebrate the season. This right here is a blazer of the wallpaper that glows in the dark.
Nice.
And then there is a button front here, yes.
Oh, that's
lots and lots of
that's
options.
Sharp looking.
I do like that Haunted Mansion button up as well.
Well, speaking of the Haunted Mansion, to celebrate the 54th anniversary of the Haunted Mansion, a new limited edition Hatbox Ghost Tiki mug has arrived at Trader Sam's. This third edition is a ghostly teal-green color with black glaze. A specialty cocktail, the Cloaked Spectre, will also be available.
Who knew teal is the color for this Disney Halloween season? This looks really good. So it's hard to believe that we're already on the third edition of this mug. A very kind listener actually purchased the first edition mugs for Tag and I and sent them to us. I was just about to turn around and look at it in the podcast space. Actually, not in my podcast space. It's actually down in our dining room with some of our other Disney merch. But that one was more of like a tan or like a tan color, I guess, like tans and browns. Whereas this one, like Vern mentioned, is teal. I really like this. I would love to see what this looks like in person, but the photos just make him look a little bit more eerie, a little bit more spooky, a little more ghost-like.
Yeah.
Very, very fun.
Yeah, it's cool looking though.
And while we're on the topic of new tiki mugs around the resort, we should mention, these are going on sale Wednesday, August 9th. So the day that this episode drops is when these mugs are going to be available at Trader Sam's over at the Disneyland Hotel. So the cocktail, they don't explain what the cocktail is, so I'm curious to hear about what is in the cocktail, but I do like the name Cloaked Spectre.
Yes.
There is a non-alcoholic version of it as well. But since we're on the topic of tiki mugs, I will find the link and throw it in the show notes. There is also a new tiki mug that can be purchased around the resort, or a tiki-inspired mug, we'll say. A tiki-inspired mug that's available around the resort that resembles the posts in the tiki room, like the posts that do the tiki pole, the tiki posts that sing in the tiki room. So those look really fun. I would like to see, like, I think if maybe they did this, I will be honest, I did not do very much research in it. I just saw it briefly before we recorded, but I think it'd be really fun, and hopefully they took advantage of this. Otherwise, if not, missed opportunity. If it was different, like each cup would stack onto each other, and so you could like build your own
tiki,
your own tiki post. That, I mean, isn't gonna sing, but you know what I mean. Like if it had different designs, I think that'd be really fun. Yes. Maybe they do that. The nerd in me really, really hopes that they do, because that would be
super cool.
Well, the resort has been seeing some major issues with pipes recently. We have been following the work being done in Adventureland from a burst pipe that was near the entrance of the land, kind of back near the restrooms. Speaking of which, the restrooms have been closed and the construction walls have been growing. Currently, there is only a small pathway in front of the Tiki Juice Bar that allows guests in and out of the land. So it's very, very tight. If you are going to the parks, I would probably not enter into Adventureland this way. That is how narrow of a pathway this is looking. But last week, a different pipe burst, one under the Storytellers Cafe dining room. The restaurant had to be cleared and some reservations were canceled. Crews were called in and had to dig a hole to address the issue. So currently, one side of the dining room is open. This is so sad. Like, I don't know. I don't know what's going on. We have no information as to what is causing these issues, but they're pretty major because they are, well, the Adventureland one's taking some time. Most of like the area in front of the restrooms there, it looks like, we'll have the link in the show notes. Mice Chat had some photos either through or above the construction walls to kind of show, but they had to rip up a lot of that area to get to this pipe. And they also have photos of the dining room in Storytellers. It's dug up. There's like a dirt pile. Like it's wild. It's just wild.
Do we know, are these the original pipes from opening day?
I don't know. So Storytellers wouldn't be, because that wouldn't be. That would be newer stuff. I have no clue. I can't imagine. I feel like they would have. I don't know the history of the Adventureland bathrooms. I don't know if they were there opening day or not. But I mean, it's safe to say these pipes get a lot of use. Mm-hmm. So yeah.
Well, and I'm thinking back to the opening day problems of the plumber strike and the having to choose.
No, I don't think this has anything to do with that. No.
Okay.
No.
That's just where my brain started to go right away.
I mean, it is reminiscent, but I don't think
Disneyland has had such a problem with pipes from day one, literally. So is this possibly just going back all the way that far?
I wouldn't think so.
Okay.
I'm by no means an expert in plumbing.
Sure.
But I don't think that's it at all. I see what you're saying, but no, I don't think the two are related. I think it's an odd coincidence.
Okay.
But yeah, like, look at this picture here. There's like,
oh goodness.
Yeah, it looks like a pile of dirt or like a pile of sand that they're literally digging in the middle of the Storytellers dining room. So hopefully whatever's going on, they can get resolved and addressed quickly.
As we approach the official opening of San Francisco Square, more details have been popping up. Along with more artwork decorating the buildings, new koi fish wind turbines are being installed. The first is now floating above Rita's turbine blenders.
This is such a fun, cute thing that they're adding.
Yes.
From the concept art, it does look like there's going to be more of these wind turbines popping up throughout the area. But the first one has arrived, and it's, of course, above Rita's turbine blenders.
As it should be.
What do you think of this? Because you haven't even really seen any photos of the area. This isn't a really good representation of the entire area. It just focuses on the koi fish.
Right. I mean, I saw, some of the painting and updating last time that I was out there, how they had started doing the facades from across the way. And I've seen a few things online, how, things are still progressing and whatnot. This is definitely my first time seeing the koi fish.
Yeah.
And I mean, I love the concept, using art and the turbines and creating power that way. It's excellent.
Well, you've seen Big Hero 6, yes?
Yeah.
So these were part of San Francisco, is these turbines in the shape of koi fish. Yes. They're just so fun. It's very fun. It's bright. It's vibrant. It does look like from photos that there is an actual fan inside of the koi fish. So there is hope that these aren't just going to be a static thing, that there's going to be some movement and that the fans will move, and it'll really feel like they're generating power and doing what they're designed to do. So it kind of brings a little bit more life to the new area.
So you think they're not actually being functional?
I don't think so, no.
Oh.
Nope, I don't think so. I think they're only functional in that'd be amazing if they could, but no. I think these are purely decorative.
I'm hopeful that they are functional, that it's actually powering at least that one little area.
I think these, no.
Okay.
No. Well, with the holidays creeping in, Disney has announced what they have in store to celebrate the winter holidays. The food and fun-filled Festival of the Holidays, Viva Navidad, and World of Color Season of Light are all returning to DCA. Over in Disneyland, a Christmas fantasy parade, Believe in Holiday Magic, and the Holiday Time guided tour will be back as well. The holiday season at Disneyland is November 10th through January 7th.
And it's too bad that with my work, I'll never make it out for
eventually
Christmas in Disney.
One of these years. But yeah, no.
Hopefully.
The holiday times it's really magical at Disneyland, and it's just fun and vibrant and festive over at DCA. I just love the combination of how the two parks celebrate, because they have their own uniqueness in how they celebrate.
Sure.
And that makes it so fun to be there, because it's not like I'm a Disneyland girl through and through. If I only had to pick one park, it would be Disneyland.
Mm-hmm.
But I really love the holiday time celebrations at DCA. Like, I would just spend the entire time just soaking up all of the different music, all of the different entertainment, of course, tasting all of the different food, because there's just so much going on. The park really comes alive with all the special things that they have planned for Festival of the Holidays, and of course, Viva Navidad. It's kind of like it's not really a parade, they call it more of a street party, but there's just so much to see and do that, for me, attractions are almost just like a time filler in between when the next entertainment activity is going to happen. So I just love it. It's so cool. And Disneyland during the holidays, it's just magical. Seeing the castle just covered and draped in all of the lights, the holiday lights, is just fantastic. Small World Holiday, I know you're not a Small World fan, but Small World Holiday has its own special kind of magic too.
They do a very good job with Small World Holiday, yes.
And then of course the Haunted Mansion is still themed to the Nightmare Before Christmas,
which I have gotten to ride that once. I
like that too. I know it's got one foot in each holiday in Christmas time and Halloween time, but it's fun, and for me it works for both holidays, totally. Especially classic Haunted Mansion riding during like December, winter, holiday time doesn't quite fit.
Right.
But it fits better when Jack's there wrecking the halls.
Yes, totally. Rancho del Zocalo has discontinued its mobile order services. This was a bit surprising to us since the resort has really been pushing mobile order. However, it is a welcome change. When mobile order was in place, one whole counter and kitchen area was devoted to mobile order while the other was just for standby. We hope this change will greatly help the overall flow and wait times for this location.
This makes so much sense. Yes. I don't know if the listener, has experienced the flow of Rancho when they had mobile order going, but it didn't work. And I think it's because it was a location, when it was originally built and set up, was not designed for two separate lines. So it was kind of, they tried, know, and I think that's important that they tried, but it just didn't quite work. And being someone who has waited in the standby line and has also used mobile order, for me, in my experience with mobile order, it actually was not very quick. It was not very efficient. Two kitchens serving just one line, I think, is going to really overall help this location. I'm very, very excited. But I'm just shocked because, like you mentioned, Vern, there was such a big push with bringing mobile order to what feels like every location around the park. So
everywhere,
this is a step back. So I find that really interesting. And it makes me hopeful because it makes me think, Are they reading surveys? Are they listening to feedback? And are they adjusting? Because that would be fantastic. I'm going to hope it's that. It could be some other reason.
No, I agree. I think this is definitely a sign that Disney is hearing the voices of the consumers, whether it's from surveys or from emails or somehow, some way. They're hearing what people are saying. They're hearing complaints or constructive criticism or whatever, and they're saying, okay, this wasn't working. People didn't like it. Time to make a change. Because, as you mentioned, with how hard they're pushing mobile everything on everywhere. If you're not using the Disneyland app, you can't do anything except now at this one location. They're saying, nope, no phones. Yeah. And I'm here for it. It's good.
I'm really excited to see the difference that this makes. Well, speaking of changes to dining locations, this one is super fun. Goofy's Kitchen is getting in on spooky season and celebrating Halloween. What's the difference of what's happening at Goofy's Kitchen for Halloween? Well, you get to dine with Goofy and some of his friends in their creative Halloween costumes. Plus, they're going to have special food items prepared just for the Halloween season. So there's going to be enhanced menu offerings for brunch and dinner, themed decor, music. There's also Disney PhotoPass digital downloads, and probably my favorite, a Halloween theme button. How fun is this?
Very cool.
So prices range from $34 to $37 for children ages 3 to 9, and $62 to $75 for adults. The special Halloween time offerings for Goofy's Kitchen run from September 21st through October 31st.
DL Weekly announces the boarding of the Trivia Express, non-stop star speeder service to the moon of Endor. All passengers, please prepare for immediate boarding.
Welcome to Trivia Land, where we're going to see how much Alex and Teresa know tonight. How are you two feeling about this?
Well, we'll see, because I know you did a deep dive, so this could either go well or terribly wrong. We're going to find out, though.
Well, yes, Teresa is correct. I got into one of my deep dive moods because as we are recording...
So before we start, though, Alex is joining us early because he wanted to brave Trivia Land, a.k.a. I just informed him he was braving Trivia Land with me tonight. So real quick, welcome, Alex. We're excited to have you here in Trivia Land before we go talk about your fun experience at the Walt Disney Family Museum.
Yes.
Well, thanks for having me. It's been a while since I've made a trip to Trivia Land, so I'm excited. And,
you scared him last time he was here. He's like, nope.
I know.
I need to avoid that place.
Right? It's like I feel like I'm going on Tower of Terror right now. I'm like excited but scared at the same time.
Exactly.
Yes, so officially welcome, Alex. And as we are recording, tomorrow is the anniversary of the opening of the Haunted Mansion. The newest movie is in theaters right now, so we are going to test your knowledge of this iconic attraction.
So again, this could go really well for us or horribly, horribly wrong.
Well, we're going to start with a nod to the movie and a question about an iconic mansion character. In what year did Hattie, the Hatbox Ghost, make his triumphant return to Disneyland?
Oh, hang on.
Bonus points for the exact date.
Okay, I don't have that. It was the 60th anniversary.
Mm-hmm.
It was, I think it was around when that D23 was. So let me think. So the 60th anniversary, 2011? Am I allowed to use my phone for math purposes? Since I cannot
use your calculator, but you can't use Google.
Yeah. 2015.
Is that your final answer?
Yes. Fall of 2015. Yes.
Okay.
That's my final answer. Are you jumping in my doom buggy, Alex?
I am. I'm going to jump in your doom buggy for this one. It sounds right.
Jump in that doom buggy? All right.
It was D23 weekend, or like right before D23.
All right. Your second question. Haunted Mansion is the only attraction in 4 different lands in 4 different parks.
Dang it, now I'm
Can
wondering.
you name them? Land in park.
Okay, sorry. I distracted myself with that question. I'm like, oh no. was D23 2014. And so he made his debut right before the 60th anniversary, which was in 2015. I'm just going to stay with 2015.
Yeah.
Okay. Can you repeat question 2? I promise I will listen this time.
Haunted Mansion is the only attraction in 4 different lands in 4 different parks. Can you name them? Land in park.
Yes. So Disneyland, New Orleans Square.
Yep.
Walt Disney World is, what is it called? Liberty Square?
Liberty Square. Yep.
Disneyland Paris. Frontierland. And my favorite, Tokyo Disney, Fantasyland.
Oh, okay. I didn't know that one was Fantasyland, but yeah, that's probably what I would guess.
All right.
Yeah.
And are those your final answers?
Final.
Yeah.
All righty. Your third regular round question. Once, in Savannah, Georgia, a tour guide told Teresa, "Hey, that house on the corner, that's the house that inspired Walt Disney for the Haunted Mansion."
That's a true story. That did happen. Someone misinformed me.
Well, according to D23.com, that tour guide was misinformed, and the actual inspiration for the Haunted Mansion was the now torn down blank house in blank.
Oh, no.
Oh, gosh.
We need to know the name. Oh, boy. So I'm going to be honest. He gave me a hint and told me he was asking me, was that Georgia? Was that Savannah that you were told was, the Haunted Mansion house, and it really wasn't the Haunted Mansion house?
We even took your picture in front of it.
We took my picture in front of it, too.
Oh, no.
I mean, I should dig that picture up and share it. I understand why this tour guide said that, because it very much looks. It has the look.
In retrospect, there's similarities in architecture.
There's a lot of similarities in architecture with other buildings too. But I was racking my brain. I have no idea what the house name is, but I have some sort of tickle in my head that the house was in, I want to say it was Baltimore.
Yeah. I feel really bad I don't know this one. I guess I'm just going to kind of make something up just for fun, if that's okay.
Go for it.
By all means.
That's
the joy of Trivia Land. If you don't know it, just make something up.
Right? You just fake it, right?
Yeah.
I am going to say, to be honest, I'm just going to say what I think the Haunted Mansion is, the Gracie Manor in New Orleans, Louisiana.
There you go.
Okay. Final answers.
Yes.
Yes.
All right, so that was something in Baltimore.
Yep, something in Baltimore.
And Gracie Manor in New Orleans. All right.
Mm-hmm.
And your fourth and final regular round question. Before the team landed on the current concept, an Imagineer thought of a water ride version of the mansion where guests would float through a partially submerged plantation house. Do you know which Imagineer this was? There are 2 names that I will accept.
Ooh.
One technically more accurate than the other, but I'll accept either one. Bonus points if you get both.
Ooh, I've heard this. I knew it was going to be a walkthrough. Like, the walkthrough's the one that everybody knows.
Yeah?
I had heard that somebody was tossing around the idea of, it being like how Small World is, how you just kind of float through like that. Not like Splash Mountain. not a thrill ride. But like Pirates or like Small World.
Yeah.
I don't know why, but Claude Coates is in my brain, so I'm going to say Claude Coates.
And I know mine isn't right, but for some reason, Rolly Crump is in my brain.
Rolly?
So, yeah.
All right, final answers.
Final.
Okay.
Yep.
And your bonus question tonight. Utilizing the newly imagined Omnimover system, the Imagineers had found the perfect way to move guests through the mansion. What catchy nickname did these particular ride cars quickly obtain?
This is a give me. Thank you.
Right.
The Doom Buggy.
Doom Buggy, yes.
Doom Buggies, is that your final answer?
Final answer.
All right.
Of course, yes.
Well, listeners, how do you think they did? How did you do listening at home? Stick around until after the discussion topic, and we can all find out together.
Well, for this week's episode, I'm very excited to have Alex joining us again. He just got back from visiting the Walt Disney Family Museum. Was this your first time, Alex?
It was. It was kind of a spontaneous trip adventure, I guess.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was my first time going. I really had no expectations.
I have yet to go. It is definitely on the list of things to do. And I actually just have Vern's sister just moved out to San Francisco area last year. And then one of my cousins just moved out like a week ago. So I'm like,
Oh, wow.
well, now I even have family out there. The museum's there. I've never been to San Francisco. This is going to happen. So I think it's going to happen pretty soon for us. We've actually been talking about doing a family trip out there. And so I can just sprinkle in a little extra Disney magic by visiting the museum. So I am super excited to hear about your time and all the fun things that you got to do. So just kind of take us through the day. What were some of the fun things you got to see and do?
All right. Well, first of all, this was, like I said, a very spontaneous, I guess, side trip in the ultimate trip. So we actually went to the Bay Area last weekend to go to a concert, and we had the full day to do whatever we wanted to do. The concert wasn't until the evening, so I just went on Google and I just like searched like what is there to do that's fun, and then of course the Walt Disney Museum.
You didn't even know, so this was like a Disney surprise.
Yeah, I mean, I remember, I just didn't remember that it was in San Francisco.
Sure.
So I'm like, it's right there. So we went online and bought the tickets.
Perfect.
The tickets were very cheap. They're only $25 per person for the museum. And then also they're having the Disney cats and dogs exhibit as well. And that was only $5 extra to add to your ticket. So why not?
It was only $5 extra to do the temporary exhibit. That's cool.
Yeah, and if you wanted to do just the temporary exhibit, it was like $15 by itself. So
yeah, so pretty affordable then. That's awesome.
Right. So I was super excited. So we got on the road really early. We got there probably at least an hour before they even opened. Like I said, I didn't really know anything about this museum. So we pull up and it's just this old looking building. And I actually did some research, and it used to be Army barracks back in the day.
Oh.
It kind of looks like it's an Army base there. It used to be. So I pull up and I'm like, wow, this looks very, very old and looks actually kind of small. So like I was just kind of expecting like a small town museum. So anyway, we're just waiting to get in, and can we call them cast members, I guess? Yeah. So we're waiting. And then about 10 minutes before they open, the cast member came out, and they're very nice. Kind of what you expect at Disneyland. So came out and greeted us and asked to see our tickets. And then right at 10 a.m. when they opened, they let us in and scanned our tickets. And actually there was quite a line out there for them just opening. So we walked right in, scanned our tickets, and it was actually amazing. So you walk in and it looks like a brand new museum, kind of state of the art. Walk in, you see a nice Walt bust there and see all the trophies in the lobby, all the Oscars that he won.
Wow.
The main part was they let us go right into the main exhibit, and it starts off on the main floor, and the main floor is just his what they call his early beginning. So it talks about his family farm in Marceline, Missouri. It talks about his early influences in the Midwest, and then also France as well. So it was actually kind of different because you walk in, it's not too big of a room, and then immediately you take an elevator up to the second floor. The elevator is really, really cool. It was really cool how it was themed. You walk in there and it's got, mirrors, but it's got these nice red drapes, like a movie theater. You walk in the elevator and it starts going up, and Walt starts narrating. It's really cool.
Really? I mean, I shouldn't be surprised that the elevator
Disney magic, right?
was even themed, but that's really, really cool. Really cool.
So the majority of the museum is on the second floor. So we step out of the elevator and instantly just amazed. Just so many artifacts. Everything is just perfectly like chronological to his life. So
that's cool.
Yeah. I did pull this from their website because so much stuff was happening that it's hard to remember exactly everything. So they actually have 10 different parts to this museum. So the bottom floor was the early beginnings, and then the second part was his move to Hollywood. It talks about his moving to Hollywood and his major contract opening the studio, and then Mickey Mouse. And I'm actually just give me one moment. I'm gonna pull up my picture so I can kind of go
I'm flipping through
through.
your pictures right now because
Yeah.
Alex shared his Google album with me so I could flip through and look at stuff. And this, like,
So when you turn the
so
corner,
much
you see
stuff.
that big wall of just Steamboat Willie drawings. It's just amazing. And then they start animating.
Really?
Yeah. It's really cool just how
Wow.
it talked about Mickey Mouse and everything. And I don't know if you can see one of the photos, but it's the earliest known drawing of Mickey Mouse.
Really?
Yeah. So it actually looks pretty well preserved and everything. So I just thought it was so cool because I was not going to expect to see like actual like drawings that Walt did. I was expecting
Mm-hmm.
just kind of a museum just describing his life and maybe a few pictures and whatnot. But that's when I kind
Oh,
of knew
that's
this was
amazing.
the real deal. Yeah. So pretty much it just showed like a
I'm
lot of his early drawings of
I'm
Mickey.
looking. I looked like Walt's baptism certificate was here. There's a marriage license for Walt and Lillian. I mean, these are
Yeah.
not things
And
I would have expected, but I mean, so the whole thing about the Walt Disney Family Museum is to kind of give people more of a look at Walt, the father, the husband, the friend, the brother, the son, kind of more of focus on Walt the man, which of course lends into then Walt the creative that everybody knows him from, Walt Disney, everything, all the movies, the parks, all that stuff. So I would not have thought you'd see things like his marriage license and his
right.
baptism certificates. And
I had to laugh
come
a little
on.
bit because if you look at his baptism, look at the year of it.
Hang on, I didn't pay that close of attention. 5th day of they goofed the year.
I
That's
think
awesome. They started
off so many 1800 ones that they didn't have any brand new 1900 ones. So.
Yep, you can see that it had said 18 and someone went, whoops, I mean 1901. Handwritten certificate of baptism. That's wild.
It's just crazy how all this stuff looks really great for being so old,
Mm-hmm. Both of these, the two documents that we're referring to, the photos, they look like pristine. They look bright white, brand new paper. You would not realize that that piece of paper is from 1901. That's amazing.
Right. Yeah. So that was the second part of the gallery. The third part was exploring new horizons. So it kind of talked about how he experimented with sound, having his first cartoon with sound, the imagery, and then just the revolution in art and technologies. And then it also kind of jumps back into Walt being more than just Disney. It's him being a person. So it talked about him being a father for the first time, and then also talked about him opening up the Walt Disney Studios.
Wow. Very cool.
Yeah. And then, of course, the fourth part of the gallery was the transition into features. So the main part of that exhibit was talking about his first feature-length film, which was Snow White.
Mm-hmm.
And then I took so many photos of it. It's just so cool how it had like the original binder that had like the test cells and everything, and the original drawings of Snow White, and it's just like stepping into the movie like behind the scenes. It's just crazy how back then they had all this stuff still.
Yeah, so I'm looking at this photo too. So this so of course it's the binder, so it's just a binder.
Yeah.
But they do have a page from that binder out so you can see it. And it's got like notes on test B of like here's a drawing of Snow White, but then they have like different parts, like they have her bow pointed out and her eyes pointed out and her lips pointed out. And I don't know if these are color, like what notes are for color or but they have little codes next to them, and then they even have like squares in the bottom part of the page that have her eyes with even more detail with these little codes pointing to different sections too. So I would almost assume that might be them trying to figure out color. I don't know for sure, but it's fascinating.
Oh yeah, and then like the next page, it has the old hag and everything, and yeah, it's just amazing, just seeing all this behind the scenes. Like you would never expect to see this in real life.
No.
And then of course, at the end of that, they have to show the premiere of the movie too at Carthay Theater and everything. So that's just so cool, just seeing that and like the actual program from the premiere.
Oh,
it just I just get goosebumps just looking at the pictures again. It's just so cool. And then what I really love is I'm a merch person. I love merchandise, and it just shows the merchandise from the movies as well. So just it's just crazy, like their version of merchandise back then.
Oh yeah, the evolution of merchandise for sure.
Oh yeah.
Dang.
So then jumping to the Gallery 5, it's the new success and greater ambition. So it talks about Walt moving to his new Burbank studio and talking more about his other movies such as Bambi, Pinocchio, and Fantasia. Again, just more like concept art and different figures you can look at as well. So just, again, that's really cool. Just growing up with these movies and seeing this in person as well. And then like throughout the exhibit too, they'd have like, you can see these microphones and stuff, and it'd have some of them would actually have Walt like narrating or talking or interviewing or something. So, it was actually a very interactive experience.
Yeah, I was gonna say, so it was interactive, so you could like pick them up and listen to whatever was going on for that, whatever that exhibit was about. Dang.
Yes, exactly.
This sounds like you could easily spend far too much time just going through and admiring and looking at all of these different things. Like I'm just looking at random pictures that you shared with me, and it must have been the sound exhibit, but there's pictures of, I think it's Plane Crazy is what the short was that these sketches are from, but it's Mickey flying a plane, and then in two different ways. So it's Mickey, Minnie hanging on for dear life, flying the plane. Then there's one of just the plane, and then there's one of Minnie hanging on to dear life to Mickey. So it's almost like the three sketches. Two of them are parts of the one full, if that makes sense. But it's just really interesting to see these old sketches and kind of, try and see, what the process was of how they created these cartoons and these really incredible things, especially for their time when these things were coming out. That's just wild.
And I forgot to take a picture of this, but I can't remember what cartoon it was for. It was one of his earliest ones with sound, and they actually had a game that you could play. It had different instruments that like the cartoon would start going, and then you had to synchronize it. It was kind of like Rock Band or Guitar Hero, but like for old time cartoons. So it was like pounding on the drums or like ringing the bell. And it's really cool.
That's cool. That's really cool.
And then one of my highlights of this was seeing the infamous multi-plane camera. And I remember seeing that was the Imagineering story, where it just kind of showed how that was used and how they invented that. And it's just amazing how it brings more depth into different cartoons back in the day.
For those that have not seen a multi-plane camera in like real life, or even have seen a photo of it, these things are massive. They are like, you have to climb a ladder to be able to look from the top down to the base of the thing. They are just very, very large. So did the one there's one at the studios still, and it's just kind of a display piece. I don't even know for sure. I'd have to go back in my photos. I don't remember if it was a replica or if it was actually one that they used, but there is one on display at the Walt Disney Studios that we saw. They did have different panes set up in that, but you could only see it from the ground level, so you could really just see the bottom and maybe like a layer or two up. They didn't have anything where you could like see it from the top down. With how this one's set up at the museum, are you able to kind of see it more how they used it? So we're able to see it in the different angles and like look at the top down and see what the layering of the multi-plane camera does and looks like. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of like your experience. You could see a little bit of it, but unless you like reached over, because it was actually the way they set it up, it was between the two floors. So, yeah, so like you're on the second floor of the museum and you're looking down into it, kind of. So it's a little kind of hard to see from that angle. But then actually, the bottom part is actually you can view that from the gift shop area.
Really, that's cool.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. It's just really cool seeing that and everything. And again, it's just crazy because it also like shows that it's big. It's 2 stories. I don't think this was one of them that they used. I know a lot of the cameras that were on display were just example. Like they were obviously used for different things, but not part of the Disney company.
Yeah, the one I just had to pull up my photos because I'm like, was there a plaque or something? That was the thing. There wasn't even like a plaque or anything talking about the multiplane camera that we saw when we were at the studios. But yeah, yours sounds much like a much larger version of the one that I saw, though, because it wouldn't have been 2 stories tall. It was higher, like it was more than just me standing and looking in it. It was much taller than that, but I wouldn't say it was 2 stories.
Oh yeah, this one is huge.
Very, very cool, though.
Yeah, just kind of walking through the exhibit then. The next part was the patriotic contribution. So did a little bit about Dumbo and talked about his good neighbor tour of Latin America. It's a lot about his inspiration he got from Latin America.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And then a lot with the World War II and kind of the cartoons that he designed during World War II and kind of everything dealing with that. So then the next part of the museum is actually really cool. It's kind of in this dark room where it has all these TV screens. And this right here is called the post-war rebuilding area. And then they would feature his first live action features. So one of them they highlighted was the 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, and then they had other things too, which I thought were really cool. I mean, it's not live action, but they had like Mr. Toad, and they actually did have a plaque about when you go into these rooms, just saying how these cartoons are obviously made in the past, and there are some things that people don't agree with today, obviously. So an example like that is you can see the poster of Song of the South and everything.
Oh, sure.
But again, another really cool exhibit because a lot of them were interactive. One of these screens that just had multiple captions on it. You can just kind of click whichever one you're interested in and pop up like a cartoon or movie clip as well.
Okay, so I'm going to go back a little bit.
Yeah.
I got to the photos of Mr. Toad. And have you seen Mr. Toad? Have you seen The Many Adventures of Mr. Toad?
Oh, yeah, of course.
So this is wild to me because the Toad maquette here and the little sketches that they have of Toad look different than what we now know Toad looks. I think that's really interesting because that just kind of like shows the evolution, right, of the character design and all that. But the sketches, I don't know, he just looks different. I think maybe it's his eyes. I don't know what it is specifically. I can't put my finger on it, but he doesn't look as like wacky and zany as he is in the cartoons. He looks a little bit more like
a toad,
serious and refined, and more like a toad. But yeah, that's just so fun.
Yeah. So I mean, like it's just so cool just looking at all this stuff and what they kind of imagined and what it actually turned out to be.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, and then you can also see like the Peter Pan one too, like Mr. Smee, like the Peter Pan kids and everything. So it's really cool how that just looks for it there.
Oh, it looks like there's little maquettes of like the 7 dwarves.
Yeah.
And like this and cells from Snow White. That was also in the case that had the sketch that we were talking about earlier with all the different notes on it. This is Alex, I don't know how you like didn't spend the entire day there because my goodness, there's just seems to be we're not even halfway through probably the displays of the museum because we're still in the earlier works. We haven't even gotten to like Disneyland or any of the later in life things that he did. This is incredible.
And what was very unique about this experience is, like I said, when we lined up when it first opened, there was a line behind us, but we were the only ones in the main exhibit or in the main museum part. I think everyone else there was in line for the dogs or cats and dogs exhibit.
Oh, sure. That could be.
So it felt like we had the whole place to ourselves. Like every now and then, like we'd have the room to ourselves, but then like a cast member would walk in, I think just to make sure, no one was touching anything and everything was okay. So it was very kind of an intimate experience just going through this.
That's incredible.
Yeah. So then the next part is actually, it's actually perfect. It takes you to like a hallway. It kind of feels like you're outdoors though, because the wall is made out of glass. You can look outside and it talks about, Walt and the natural world. So how he really got into wilderness and he kind of experimented with doing kind of like a wildlife documentary.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So that was really cool how it showed that. And then I kind of had a little, freak out a little bit because I see a plaque that said have a seat and it says right here is one of the benches from Griffith Park. So I was like, oh my goodness. So
you're like, wait, we can sit, we can touch it?
We can sit,
on it?
This is actually one of the benches. It's not like a replica or something, but yeah, it's one of the actual benches.
Wow.
So I walked over and I carefully sat down because I was like, I don't want to break it.
You're like, I don't want to be that person.
It was so surreal though, actually.
This
just being there.
I'm looking at a photo of this bench. It looks like it's been many of people have sat upon this bench. It looks like it's been around for a while. So we know the benches as being green, but it looks like at some point they were red, and it looks like there's even some yellow paint that's peeking through under the green that's worn off, and then even some of the areas are worn down to the wood itself. So this bench, how do I say this? It's cool that people can go and sit and have that experience, but it definitely looks different than the one on display like at Disneyland.
Oh yeah,
nobody's allowed to touch.
That's why I didn't recognize that first. I'm like,
it looks well loved. Yes, it looks very well loved.
A lot of history. So
yes, a lot of history and a lot of paint colors apparently.
Oh yeah, gosh,
that's pretty amazing. So, did you get you took your picture on the bench, or did you just sit there and soak it all in?
I just soaked it all in. It was just like I said, so surreal that like it wasn't like the actual bench that Walt sat on, but it was one of the many that were there in original.
It could have been the bench.
I mean, he could have sat on. He could have sat on sometime too. He could have sat on
multiple bench. We don't know which bench it was specifically, but it could have been very cool.
After that amazing moment, then comes my favorite part of the whole exhibit. And of course, that has to be Disneyland.
What, the gift shop? Oh, okay.
Okay, we'll get to that. I know I'm a merch person, but Disneyland. And the Disneyland room was huge. And it was actually really cool how they placed it, because it was, I guess technically you'd call it 2 stories, because you're on one floor and then it kind of has a spiral place where you can kind of go down to the first floor eventually. So again, kind of fangirling out here. You walk into the room and take a left, and there is Walt's miniature train set that was in his backyard.
Oh, the Lily Bell?
Yeah. So,
no. Is that what it's called? Hang on. No, not the Lily Bell. The Carolwood Pacific.
Yeah, but I mean, it had the Lily Bell on it too.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, it was just crazy because like I was like, this has to be replica, but nope. I'm reading the sign and it said Walt's train. It said this was the train that ran around Walt's miniature railroad. So piece of history right there.
Yeah, Walt. I'm looking at the plaque. Walt's train, the Carolwood Pacific, headed by the locomotive, the Lily Bell. This was the train that ran around Walt's miniature railroad. Look at this thing. It probably even looked even better in person. But look, this thing is so detailed.
Right?
Wow.
Oh, just so cool. And then after you look at that, then you take a right, and then this huge room. It just looks like a science exhibit. There's so much stuff to look at. So just kind of like walking down, they just had everything in here. They had a really cool, I guess, instead of having like a railing, they had like little monitors on the railing that would have kind of a brief history of how he created Disneyland and how Disneyland, I guess, came to be. And then, of course, while you're doing that, they're broadcasting the Disneyland story or the pre-opening day report, which you can watch on, Disney Plus. So again, I spent so much time in this room. It's just I had to read everything, soak everything in, take pictures. It felt like I was living the Imagineering story right there. So
that's cool. That's really cool.
So yeah, again, like just kind of going through it just showed different things about Disneyland, his drawings. Even had like his proposals that he did for Disneyland. And then what was really cool, I don't know if you're sure if you're looking at it, but it has the original model of the Fantasyland castle.
I haven't gotten to that yet.
And it was designed for Walt Disney. So that was kind of cool. And actually, it looks pretty like the one that we have at Disneyland.
Mm-hmm. Hang on, I'm trying to find the picture.
Oh yeah. It's kind of like in
There's
a little
only a couple in this album that you shared with me, so. Oh, wow.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. It does look pretty similar. So I wonder if this is the model that somebody picked up the top and turned it around and they decided to, to make the castle backwards, and have the back really face the front. I wonder if this is the model that story came from, or if that was maybe a different one. If this is the original and it was a later generation model that story came from. But dang, that's really cool. See, I love that people saved and kept these things, because a lot of this stuff back then, people didn't realize the history and the meaning of what, because right, it was just something that they were using to do their jobs at that point. So
right.
I'm glad that somebody realized how special these things were, kept these things so that future generations can go and appreciate the history, appreciate all of this stuff, and kind of get a peek into what it was like to be, the creative process and to create these different things. And it's just so interesting to me to look at the different tools, because, right, we see the end product and don't understand, all the steps to get to whatever the end product is, whether it's a movie, the, Disneyland park, whatever it is. So it's really interesting, I think, to see the different pieces of the puzzle, I guess would be a good way of saying it. Seeing the little sketches that, the first sketches of Mickey Mouse, and looking at what that looks like compared to what we know him today. Seeing the original castle, seeing all the original things, to then kind of, you're almost like unraveling the finished product or the finished quilt to kind of see what the pieces look like. I think there's a special level of Disney nerd, you and I being at that level, and many of the people, if not all the people listening to this podcast, are also on that level. But there's just something really amazing and really incredible to be able to see this stuff and get so up close to it. It's just cool. Super, super cool.
Teresa, I think that whenever you decide to make your way there and visit the Walt Disney Family Museum, I need to be there with you, because I need to see your reaction the whole entire time.
We might need to set aside a couple of days, Alex.
I know, right? Oh my goodness.
I'm gonna take my time going through this museum.
Oh yeah.
It's amazing.
Yeah, and I wish they would, like, maybe on Disney Plus just do like a show or something that shows how they got these items, because I'm curious where these items have been kept, or who donated them, or kind of how they ended up here.
Yeah, how this collection came to be.
Yeah.
The Walt Disney Hometown Museum in Marceline, Missouri was made possible by Walt's sister, Ruth. I don't know the full story, but it was Diane Disney Miller that really was the one that made it possible and helped create the Walt Disney Family Museum. Now, where all of the different pieces and all the different displays, how all that part came together, I'm not sure, but it was Diane Disney Miller was the one that championed and made this become a reality for the Family Museum. She thought it was really, really important to have the public be able to see Walt more than just the company, to see him as a father, a husband, a brother, a son, all of that. So it was her and her husband, Ron, that kind of built that. But I think that's super cool. So I don't know all of how everything came together, but over the last 20 years of her life, Diane undertook an active advocacy to document the life and accomplishments of her father. So I think that was such an incredible gift that she bestowed upon all of us crazy Disney fans, and maybe even the people that aren't crazy Disney fans, that are just, fans though, and are curious. And I just think it's amazing. That's something that I need to do more research and learn more about, because I feel like there's just a treasure trove of stories as to, all of the different details as to, like you said, how did this collection come to be? Where did all these different pieces come from? And yeah, but it was Diane Disney Miller that was the catalyst for it.
Yes. And they actually named one of the halls after her too. And I'll kind of go into detail about that later. Yeah.
Yeah. Very nice.
So jumping back in then, the next thing that really caught my eye was the Circle-Rama.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, because they had that, at Disneyland. And I always thought it was so cool when they showed that on the Imagineering story. All those cameras just put in a circle and they just attach it to the top of a car.
And they created that. That didn't exist. They made that happen. They figured that out. You can still see like Circle-Rama Vision films in Epcot, I think is the last place I know of. me being the not Disney World buff, but the Canada Pavilion and the China Pavilion both had last I visited, both had Circle Vision theaters with films playing, and it's amazing. So you're watching this film in 360. So to see the cameras or the camera that I mean, like you said, the Imagineering story was great. Was it the Imagineering story? Yeah, Imagineering story. This giant, I mean, it's huge, and they just plopped it on top of like a vehicle and just, yeah.
And they had to synchronize each one, like if one was off, they had to redo it,
Yeah. It made just incredible. Absolutely incredible.
Right. So then as you're descending down to the first floor, this part right here, I could seriously spend all day just looking at this. It's a miniature diorama of Disneyland.
Yeah.
And
I've heard.
Not only is it just, it's there, but it's also functional. You got Small World working. You've got...
Really? I think I knew it was functional.
It was
so, like
functional.
The little cars are going around and...
I mean, not everything was functional, at least when I was there, but they had like some stuff going around. They had like they had like some of the attractions, like the teacup spinning. It was just so cool. And like everything was lighting up, and it just felt like you were looking down on Disneyland.
Yeah.
And just the detail was so amazing. I mean, the Matterhorn, I think it was cool to see the Carousel of Progress in there. They had the Haunted Mansion with the hitchhiking ghost out in front of it. Just so cool. And I admit I got a little curious, and I was taking so many pictures that I was kind of leaning over the glass. And the cast member politely said, "Sir, can you please just, not take pictures over the glass?" I think they were afraid of me dropping my phone in the
Yep, I was going to say, I'm sure there's people have dropped their phone in there, and that would do some damage. So, yeah.
Yeah, but it's just so cool. I mean, it's just words can't describe just the detail of it. Every small thing, like I try to take really good photos. I mean, if you zoom in, like I'm looking at the Haunted Mansion right now, and just everything is just so detailed. They have like the tombstone or headstones in the yard, and just amazing.
I'm just looking because like it looks like, so they've got the facade for pirates, but then they have opened up the show building so you can see inside, and they have a couple of scenes depicted from the attraction. So it looks like you're peeking into the attraction and not just seeing the facades. It's not like a Google Earth view, we'll put it that way. It's a little bit, it's more detailed than that. I can understand why you'd be hanging out and spending a whole ton of time looking at this.
Yeah.
In and just really paying attention to the details on this look incredible. I just think that's so wild that they've got like the tops lifted off of some of these attractions so you can peek and look in.
I just kept thinking
like the Carousel of Progress is, it looks like a donut. You can look in and you can see some of the scenes. That's really, really cool.
Adventure Through Inner
really
Space,
cool.
yeah.
Yeah.
I kept... I mean, Tag's going to listen to this, but I was thinking of him because they had a little people mover moving, and
the people mover, yes.
Yeah.
He would like to know that it is still alive and well in a version of Disneyland somewhere.
Yes, exactly.
Wow.
So yeah, and they had other like really cool things to look at. They had an actual Autopia car there, the original Autopia car, and that was like kind of, I don't know, I felt really... It was so cool looking at the Autopia car because just the weekend before, I had the pleasure of meeting Bob Gurr, Imagineer Bob Gurr.
Yes.
So I saw his picture next to him. Like, I just saw him last week. It's so cool seeing his work in person.
I just met him. Yeah.
Right?
That's pretty amazing.
Yeah.
Pretty amazing.
So yeah, and they had like little, I guess, kind of reminded me of like those paper dioramas that you had made during COVID or whatever, when they kind of gave that out.
Oh yeah,
online.
Like the paper parks stuff.
Yeah, so they kind of had something about that. So I'm not sure. I can't remember if they're actually used for like the presentation of like how they're going to build Disneyland, but they had some of those original ones there.
Some of the original sketches and such.
Yeah, and then they also had, of course, the ticket books there. So that was kind of cool to look at the different version of the ticket books, and of course the classic merchandise as well.
I'm seeing there looks like a display with Lincoln.
Yes.
And the audio, with audio animatronics, it looks like there's part, like Lincoln's like chest part of an audio animatronic. But behind that, there's this crazy cool intricate drawing of like the inner workings of all the different, like, I don't know, mechanisms that are inside of the audio animatronic Lincoln, and just kind of like, it's like a blueprint, I guess would be a good way of, that's the word I'm looking for. It's like a blueprint of the audio animatronic. That's just really wild to see.
Yeah, it looks like they have like an original scope of Lincoln's face, and again, like one of the real, like, I mean, I'm a huge Disney Parks fan, but the one thing I love the most about Disney Parks for me, for technology aspect, are the animatronics. I think it's so cool how they can make something look so lifelike, and just looking at a blueprint, I mean, of Lincoln, it's just so cool seeing that, and then seeing like the metal frame of his torso. It's just so cool at that. And the next thing, right next to it, is it's one of the Barker birds, correct?
Oh, what is the story behind this? Yeah, I think.
Yeah, so for this one right here, unfortunately, there was really no story to this, because unfortunately it was out of order.
Oh no! So this I think is just it is a Barker bird. However, I believe it is for like learning and demonstrative purposes. I believe Garner Holt Productions created this specifically for the museum as a display piece to kind of teach people about audio animatronics. I don't believe this is an actual Barker bird that had lived outside of the Tiki Room in Disneyland, but it's made to look like that. Or maybe it was one and Garner Holt restored it, but there's a connection with Garner Holt and this bird, which I think is very, very cool.
Yeah, I think it was actually just used for demonstration purposes, because I didn't take a picture of this, but right below where I took the picture, there's a little console that you can control it with.
Oh, yep. So then I'm thinking Garner made this specifically for the museum for demonstrating.
And unfortunately, they had a box over and it said out of order. So I was kind of sad, but it was cool to see.
Poor Barker bird. That would have been really cool to like manipulate an audio animatronic and, you know, make him move and talk and all that fun stuff. That's really, really cool.
Oh, yeah. So after being on that high of seeing Disneyland and the model and everything, unfortunately, I guess the last part of the museum and the exhibit they call Remembering Walt Disney. So it does talk about his passing. They have, you know, a TV set from that time, and it kind of broadcasts different news stations of when he passed, and just kind of, they have an epilogue of the museum, so you kind of read that, and different news articles from like Time magazine. And then they had a whole wall that had different cartoons of, you know, when Walt passed away, different artists paying, I guess, out of respect to him and everything. And it was kind of sad, you know. I mean, you never thought you'd see, you know, Mickey crying, and it's just really sad. I mean, it's kind of a sad part of the museum, but the next part was actually just remembering him. So it had kind of different clips and montages of him from an early age to, you know, right before he passed away. So it was just really cool. It's kind of full circle at this point, because you started from the beginning. This is the end, and then this room kind of recaps everything, and it's just amazing. Walt Disney. It just, like you said, it's more than just animation in the parks. He was a father, a husband. He did a lot for entertainment purposes too. So it just is such a great exhibit. I highly recommend it.
So, would you say, now that you've done it, do you feel like it's repeatable? Do you think there was, you know, like, do you feel like there's just, do you feel that you got everything out of it that you wanted to, or do you feel like there's just so much in there that it warrants multiple trips to really absorb it all?
Yeah, I think multiple trips. I don't think I'd go like next weekend, but I think give it some time, go back, revisit what you looked at. I feel like with this exhibit, there's so much stuff that every time you go back, there's something new you'll learn, or something that you didn't see before. So I definitely want to visit again. And I looked, and they actually have a membership to the museum. So if I actually lived closer, I'd go so much more. But to be honest, I think I would probably go more just to go to the Disneyland part of it and just keep looking at that little model. So I said, definitely recommend it. It's something I feel like you can do more than once, and any Disney lover, whether it's the films, the cartoons, or even the parks, would definitely enjoy this.
Very cool. Did you have a chance or did you have time to go see the special cats and dogs or dogs and cats exhibit, or did time not allow for that?
Oh no, we had time. So after we went out of this part of the exhibit, it of course exited into the gift shop. So
As you do, yes.
had to take a little detour through the gift shop, and their gift shop was a lot more than what I expected. They had so much literature about Walt Disney and Imagineering. A lot of the books I've seen at Disneyland and on Amazon. They had apparel, so they had different sweatshirts, hats, a children book section, and they actually had. I almost wanted to buy all of them, but I had a budget. They had the e-ticket magazine.
Oh, very cool.
So I think they're from like the 90s, but they had like an Indiana Jones one. They had like the Matterhorn.
Wow.
So really cool. I ended up buying, I was going to buy a book from the museum, but the one that they had, I just, to be honest, wasn't interested in it. But I did buy two Disneyland books. And the reason I bought them instead of either buying them on Amazon or at Disneyland is that they were actually signed by the authors. So I thought that was pretty cool.
That is neat.
Yeah.
That is very neat.
The Disney Cats and Dogs exhibit wasn't actually in the same building. You just had to walk a little bit down, I guess, a little sidewalk pathway to the building, which is called the Diane Disney Miller Exhibition Hall.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So that one was actually a little bit different than what I thought. I was going to expect something kind of like the Walt Disney part, but this one was actually a little more tame. It had a lot of concept art, and each section was a different cat or dog from Disney. It was actually really
fun.
cool. I'm a huge cat person. I like dogs, but I'm a huge cat person. So it was just cool. It's pretty much, it was really pretty short, actually. You just kind of walk through the bottom part. Again, one section would have like a dog from one of Disney's films, and then
like,
it'd have
like Nana or something from Peter.
Like Nana or Max or
what was it?
Pluto.
Bruno from Cinderella.
Yep. So it'd have all that. So it would have a picture of it and Lucifer. Yep. It'd have a description of the dog or cat, and then they had some concept art there too as well. So that was really cool.
Yeah.
And I think it was more tailored towards little kids because they had every now and then in a corner they'd have a little, I guess, section where the kids could actually draw their own Disney cat or Disney dog.
Oh, just kids, Alex. I would have been sitting there trying to do it.
Okay, you can, but I'm not.
Kids and kids at heart.
So. Right, exactly.
I don't think I'm an artist until I sit in that animation academy, and then it's like, wow, maybe this is maybe this isn't as terrible, and like I'm not as terrible as I think I am because I've learned I don't retain it, but I've learned a lot in the animation academy. So they had mini animation academy setups is what you're saying.
Yeah.
That's really cool.
But yeah, it's just, it's kind of hard to describe because I didn't take any pictures because at this point I was just trying to soak it in.
Sure. Yeah.
But yeah, I'm just reading the description that I got from the website because they had over 300 concept sketches, painting and model sheets that they used.
Oh, wow.
So it was mostly just that. There wasn't any like figures or anything like that, but it was just kind of cool just seeing like, I remember this dog from this movie and this is like the concept art, and it was just amazing just seeing that too. This exhibit also had a top floor as well, so I think we probably spent about 45 minutes here because we just kind of walked and read everything, and
wow. That's amazing. So that space, from what I understand, has like exhibits that they not rotate through, but it gets different displays. So there was one more recently that was like the Jungle Book. So
right.
It was all about the Jungle Book. There was one that was the World War II, maybe like a World War II Disney exhibit. I think. Oh, now I don't remember if that was the right one or not. But so like there's different exhibits. So I think that's really cool that they bring new and different stuff to the museum. So if you are someone who's local or who frequents the Walt Disney Family Museum, there's always something new going on. The other cool thing too is they have a lot of, you'll have to watch, but they do a lot of special events, and we'll have like special, Disney people come and talk about their experiences and share different aspects. So almost kind of like think a miniature version of like a Disneyland or a Mouse Meet, where you've got people that were involved in the company in some way, shape, or form that come and do talks about their experiences. So that's pretty amazing too. So it's a really awesome place and a really awesome Disney history place, you know, for Walt specifically, but also beyond Walt too. They bring a lot of extra stuff too, which I just think is fabulous.
Yeah. Another thing I forgot to mention is actually at the start of this exhibit, they had actually Walt with his dogs.
Oh, that's so cute.
Yeah, so it kind of showed that, and then it transitioned into the cartoon dogs and everything. So I like how it kind of tied his life and his love of animals and dogs into the exhibit. Into
that exhibit. That's cool. That's a really cool tie-in that still makes it relevant to being, you know, the Walt Disney Family Museum. That's really cool. That's really, really cool. So if you had to pick, aside from the Disneyland model, what was one of your favorite things that you got to see in the museum?
Honestly, the one thing that really caught my eye at the beginning, which I still can't believe I saw, was the earliest known sketch of Mickey Mouse.
That is pretty
The mouse that started it all, you know, like,
yeah,
just seeing that wild. And just Walt did this, and this is where everything comes from. You know, it was amazing just seeing that.
Yeah, so, seeing like the literal beginning.
Right.
Right. It all started with a mouse. So
it did. And it just, again, I keep saying this, but it's just crazy the quality that it's still in, because you expect it to be like squint and maybe see Mickey Mouse. But I mean, it was like, there.
That it faded with time, or the paper itself turned, you know, colors or whatnot. Yeah, that's pretty amazing.
Yeah.
Pretty amazing. Was there anything else you wanted to share about the museum?
I just wanted to share again, just to recap, like that it's a great exhibit. I had really no expectations, which is crazy because I'm the kind of guy that, like, if something's coming up, I will research and watch YouTube videos. So it was kind of nice going in with fresh eyes, and I highly recommend it for anybody, even if they just love the movies or the parks. Definitely go see it twice. Bring your fellow Disney lovers with you. But yeah, just go check it out if you're ever in the Bay Area.
Very, very awesome. Well, Alex, if you could bring any exhibit to the Walt Disney Family Museum, anything that you would like to see more behind the scenes of that was done in Walt's lifetime, what would you like to see come to life at the Family Museum if you were in charge and had all of the resources available and all the historical items at your disposal?
I mean, I would love to see, kind of like I stated before, probably animatronics. I don't know if they call it art of animatronics or how they would word that, but I want to see like more of Mr. Lincoln, more of the Tiki Birds, just the early Disneyland animatronics, and the audio animatronics. And even like, I know Walt wasn't alive for the huge progression that we have today in animatronics, but I would love to see just today. And I love seeing recycled animatronics or animatronics that are put away in storage. Like just, that's what I would love to see if that was an exhibit.
Dang, that's pretty cool. I didn't think you were going to go that route. I know
you were thinking Haunted Mansion. Probably.
I was thinking Haunted Mansion, but that may have been that was a good answer as well. I mean, the Haunted Mansion, obviously, always, but I like your thought process with the animatronics and the audio animatronics, because I mean, you got to think like even back in, you know, like the Jungle Cruise, technically those were animatronics at some point. They just weren't synchronized to, you know, just animatronics at some point. They weren't synchronized to sound, so they weren't audio animatronics originally. But even seeing some of the first animatronics that were in the parks, yeah, very good answer. I like that answer.
Thank you.
Awesome. Well, Alex, thank you so much for sharing your time and your experiences that you had at the Walt Disney Family Museum. Well, for those of you interested, Alex is so kindly sharing his photo album that's filled with all these amazing photos. So things like the Mickey Mouse drawing that we were talking about, the Snow White drawings and maquettes, and even the baptism and marriage certificates and licenses are there. So those, if you're interested in seeing more photos from Alex's visit, link will be available in the show notes. So thank you, Alex. And thank you so much for your time this evening chatting with me about this. This sounds amazing. I mean, I was excited about it anyways, because Disney Museum, hello. But this sounds way more than what I thought it was. So that's really amazing to hear. So thank you so much.
Yeah, and thanks for having me. It's always a pleasure to be on DL Weekly and talking about this amazing experience.
Yeah.
Looks like we're coming in for a landing, gang. But please stay listening until trivia comes to a stop. And then you can walk to the nearest exit. Thanks for listening to the 8th wonder of the world, DL Weekly.
Welcome back to Trivia Land, where we are going to find out how much do Alex and Teresa know about the Haunted Mansion. How do you two think you did?
It could have been way worse. It could have been much worse.
Yep. Yeah, I'm going to tell you, you did really well.
Oh, good.
I thought I had really tough questions, and you did very well. So let's...
Now, if you would have asked me, like, what are the names of all of Constance's ex-husbands, I probably would. I can't tell you that.
Well, if you're giving me ideas. Next week's question.
They're in the mansion, though. I was actually trying to, like, jot them down as we were going, because if you look at the portraits, their names are on each of the portraits.
Yeah, and I have a pin set from the 50th anniversary that has all of the portraits and the names under it.
Oh, well.
There you go. That's an even easier way to study than me trying to take pictures in the dark in the moving doom buggy.
If you're gonna feed me good ones like this.
Okay, nope. Just scratch that. You just continue. Let's go back to Trivia Land. What are those answers?
Here we are in Trivia Land on this wonderful night. So, as we're recording, tomorrow is the anniversary of the opening of Haunted Mansion. The movie is in theaters right now, but we need to know, in what year did Hattie the Hatbox Ghost make his triumphant return to Disneyland? Your answers were 2015 and 2015. The correct answer that I was looking for was May 9th of 2015.
Woo! I was wrong about D23.
Well done. Yeah.
They announced his return at D23.
Oh, Alex tried to high five you. There you go. Well done. And your second regular round question. Haunted Mansion is the only attraction in 4 different lands in 4 different parks. Can you name them? Land in park. Your answers were New Orleans Square in Disneyland, Liberty Square in Walt Disney World, Frontierland in Disneyland Paris, and Fantasyland in Tokyo Disney. The correct answer that I was looking for was exactly everything that you said. Very well done.
The Fantasyland for Tokyo, I just find so unique because I've been very interested in Tokyo Disneyland for a while now. So I've been watching all sorts of videos and stuff. But the reason that it's been explained that it's in Fantasyland there instead of a different land is because for the ghost stories are more like fairy tale kind of like, it's like make-believe kind of a story. So that's why the Haunted Mansion is in Fantasyland, where all of the other like fairy tale make-believe type stories are. Or it's like a story, or it's like a story, maybe they explain it more like a story that you like tell children. It's a children's story kind of a thing. So that's why it's in Fantasyland. I thought that was really interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, makes sense to me. Your third regular round question. In Savannah, Georgia, a tour guide told Teresa, that house on the corner, that's the house that inspired Walt Disney for the Haunted Mansion. Well, according to D23.com, that tour guide was misinformed. The actual inspiration for the Haunted Mansion was the now torn down blank house in blank. The answers that you gave were the blank house in Baltimore, Maryland, or the...
the Master
Gracie House in New Orleans. The Gracie Manor in New Orleans. The correct answer that I was looking for was the Shipley Lydecker House in Baltimore, Maryland.
Yes. Ooh, good job, Teresa.
Half credit to Teresa for that one. Woohoo! And your fourth and final regular round question. Before the team landed on the current concept, an Imagineer thought of a water ride version of the mansion, where guests would float through a partially submerged plantation house. Do you know which Imagineer this was? I will accept 2 names, one being technically a little more accurate than the other, but I'll take either one of them. The answers that you gave were Claude Coates and Raleigh Crump. The correct answer that I was looking for. Model maker Fred Yerger approached Imagineer Claude Coates with the concept, and Walt immediately scrapped it, saying there were too many water rides already.
I'm telling you,
Risa.
There's a Claude Coates book that I have yet to read. Mere feet away from me. I think the knowledge is just like
You're just
seeping into my brain.
Just radiating.
Yes, I'm just from proximity.
Yes.
Yes.
Wow.
Love it.
And your bonus question, because I thought all of these questions were a lot harder than they apparently were, so I had to throw you a gimme, and you didn't need it because Teresa knew all of this stuff anyway.
Hey, I did not know the fancy
That's
name.
awesome.
Yep, you didn't know about the Shipley Lydecker
Yes.
house, but you did know it was in Baltimore. Utilizing the newly imagined Omnimover system, the Imagineers had found the perfect way to move guests through the mansion. What catchy nickname did these particular ride cars quickly obtain? Both of you knowing it right away, those are the Doom Buggies.
Side note, it's related, I promise. I would have gone down to the San Diego Comic-Con just to ride around in the pedicabs that were decorated as Doom Buggies.
Those are so cool.
yeah.
I
right?
would have,
I almost drove down there.
See, I
do that.
see. It's a good thing we don't live together, Alex, because you and I would have just gone. Like, we wouldn't have even thought about it. We were just gone. But like, we don't have tickets for the actual event. We just want to ride around in the pedicab Doom Buggies. It's fine.
Yep.
I thought those were so clever. Such a fun and clever promotion for the new film.
Well, listeners, how do you think they did? How did you do listening at home? Do you think that you've got the perfect question that could really stump them next time? If you've got that perfect question and you'd like to hear it live on the podcast, feel free to send that in to us at trivia@dlweekly.net.
Well, we will be back next week with more Disneyland news and information.
And until then, get out and enjoy the parks.
Please remain seated until the podcast comes to a complete stop and the doors have opened. Then collect your belongings, watch your head, and step carefully from the episode. On behalf of all of our crew, thanks for traveling with us. And we hope you have a happy and memorable visit here at DL Weekly.